Alrighty, a big, amazing welcome to you all that are here right now. And welcome to those of you who are joining us on the recording. It's awesome to have you here too, but really awesome for those of you that are live here tonight. Sometimes there's advantages of doing things live. And hopefully on your screen, you can see how to prepare for your positive birth. And you can see a picture of Hannah and Dan who have had three baby boys since this photo was taken. That's their oldest son. He's about 7 now. And they have had one birth center birth and two amazing home births. So yeah, they are such a great couple to have as my, shall we say, my cover couple. They're on a few key parts of my promotion. So yeah, big welcome to you guys. Just letting you know, this will be recorded. So if you did have to drop away at any time, I will be sending you out a recording. But for those of you who are here, you're going to get some special offers at the end. You might want a pen and paper. And please, yes, use the chat box for any questions. I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. I might answer them at the time if it's relevant, or we might just have a question and answer session at the end, depending what comes on in. So yeah, and all questions are welcomed. No question is a silly question, so do feel free to pop anything into the chat box as we make our way through our session. So my intention for us tonight, and first of all, I do want to mention all the photos that come up on the screen of all the slides are all of real people. Okay, real people who have got real birth stories. Most of them have submitted these pictures in conjunction with a podcast episode. In case you're not aware, I do run a podcast called the Positive Birth New Zealand Podcast, and have permission to share these pictures. There's some beautiful ones that are coming along the way. I would love to stop and tell you the stories every time we get to a slide, but you can listen to them tell their own stories on the podcast. So my intention tonight is to really get you thinking about why we think about the birth in the way that we do, and how you can overcome that and how you can help yourself have a positive experience no matter what plays out on your journey. It's really an evening where I hope it's going to stimulate some questions for yourself and for your partner and maybe even for your midwife, and to help you on your way to make informed decisions. Most of all, I really hope you get some inspiration out of this, and take away some practical knowledge of how and what you can do to prepare for your birth. And then for those of you who are still here at the end, we're going to go through a lovely relaxation exercise and a connection with baby exercise. So that's our session tonight. So if nothing else that you take away from our session tonight, please know that you have access to loads of information through the Positive Births New Zealand podcast, where there are 166 episodes, and I've got about 10, 10 still to come that I've already recorded that I've just got to get out there, and more coming every week. A variety of positive birth stories that you can listen to, and also the book, the Positive Birth in New Zealand book. If you don't have a copy, ask your midwife if she has a copy. There are lots of midwives around the country who have multiple copies of this book. If you want to read it, everyone says that it's pretty easy to read. It's quite inspiring, and already it can make a huge difference just by reading the book. There is some access to tools and recordings in the back of this book. If you want to get your own copy, all you need to do is jump online and order one for yourself, and it'll get to you the post. You want to order it in the next couple of weeks, because unfortunately, I've never put the price up on these, but I'm going to have to now, unfortunately. So if you want to get in the next two weeks to buy a copy, your copy of the Positive Birth in New Zealand book. And so just to let you know a little bit about why I'm here and who I am. Obviously, my name's Helen. Created the Positive Births New Zealand program, which is New Zealand's hypnobirthing program, which is a specialized antenatal course. I wrote the Positive Births in New Zealand book. I host the podcast, which I absolutely love doing. And I have been teaching hypnobirthing, the concept of hypnobirthing, for almost 20 years, which is a very long time, which means that I'm very old now. I have a certification in advanced clinical hypnotherapy. I've got three beautiful, gorgeous, grown-up children. My youngest is 16, and I am also a nana of two gorgeous little ones. So yes, I am technically very old. So a little bit about how I got to be here, and I'm just going to summarize this really quickly. I'm going to go straight to this picture here. 2002 was when I gave birth to my first baby. And I wish that somebody had said to me in my pregnancy, get informed, get educated, find out a little bit about birth because it will have an impact not only on the way that you birth, but the way you go into your parenting or mothering journey. But, you know, for me, birth was not so much of a big deal. It was kind of one of those things that it wasn't going to be that great. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's not think about it. And I did have the distinct advantage in 2002 of there being no social media and not a lot of websites. So, not a lot of information because I know the information overwhelm for you now can be pretty huge. Didn't have any of that. I read one book, went to a standard antenatal course, chose a midwife who lived closest to me, and basically went into the whole process a little bit with some blinkers on. Didn't really know what was going to happen, especially when my midwife suggested when I was 41 weeks, she said 41 weeks pregnant, which a lot of first time mums are still pregnant at 41 weeks. She said, oh, okay, I've booked you in for an induction. So we'll see you on Tuesday at the hospital. So I was 41 and a half weeks. Early signs of labor had started, but my midwife said, oh, well, you know, if you haven't had the baby by 6 o'clock tonight, turn up at the hospital. We did. And basically, from there, I was pumped with a whole lot of things to make my labor go faster and stronger. I had no coping mechanisms mentally or physically or emotionally, didn't know how to cope, asked for pain relief, got pethidine, which made me feel terrible, then an epidural. And it wasn't long after I had the epidural, because my birth actually went quite fast, that my midwife looked at me and she said, oh, you're fully dilated, you can push now. And I couldn't feel what my body was doing. I was relying on a machine, shall we say a monitor, to tell me when to push. And that turned out to be quite a long time because my body actually wasn't really ready, but I hadn't felt anything. So after a wee while, my midwife said, right, well, if that baby's not out in 20 minutes, the obstetrician's coming in to get her out. And luckily she did come out within that time frame. So it was a fairly quick process. She was born by 1:30 in the morning. We'd started the induction process at about 7 o'clock at night. So not a long time at all. 6 hours for a first birth, that's quite quick. My body and my baby actually knew what to do. I just wasn't educated or didn't trust the process at that point in time. So second time round, from in my second pregnancy, I was introduced to the concept of hypnobirthing, which in 2005, no one had ever heard of. It sounded a bit woo-woo, sounded a bit weird, might even sound like that to you now, but I know that loads of your midwives and loads of people around you will know, be familiar with that term. And I was very lucky to be introduced to that concept so that I had some techniques to work with, chose a different midwife. And I'm going to show you a picture now of my baby boy when he was born. My midwife thought hypnobirthing was absolutely incredible. She said it looked like I had an epidural. And there's wee Jack, who is not a little baby at all. He was a rather large baby, and I'm quite a small and short person. So my midwife asked if she could take that picture just after he was born. So I was raving about this hypnobirthing stuff. And it wasn't long after that, it was exactly a year after Jack was born, that I trained to teach this hypnobirthing course, which I have been teaching consistently since 2007. So I've been sharing and supporting couples on their amazing, incredible journey of pregnancy and birthing since that time. Not hundreds, sorry, thousands of couples from all over the country I have supported on their journey to a positive birth. I also have qualifications in hypnotherapy, and I do a lot of hypnobirthing, but I also do a lot of other different things, which can range from working with parents who are trying to, shall we say, heal from birth trauma. So I have a certification in healing birth. I teach a positive postpartum course. I work with people from all walks of life, all types of people dealing with anxiety, stress, addictions, phobias, fears, you name it. There's a whole lot of stuff. So that is a little bit about me. Family photos here. Total. I've got 3 children. Oldest Jess is now 24 and she's got 2 babies of her own, and my youngest is 16. So that's a little bit about me. Love to know a little bit about you guys. Would you be happy to pop something in the chat box? I'd love to know. If you're pregnant, when's your baby due? Is it your first baby? Is it second baby? Do you want to pop something in the chat box there with me so I know who we've got here? And when's baby due? Okay, thanks, Saskia. First pregnancy, baby due end of August. Kelly, due August, first baby October. Abby, Lily's first baby April. Bailey, first baby due late August. Can I just say August babies are the best? My third baby, I shouldn't really be saying this, but my third baby's born in August. It's a very lovely time to have a birthday. My oldest was born in February, not a great time to be pregnant over summer, but it's all good. First baby due July, May, first baby May. This Friday. Awesome. Glad that you're here. I'm not sure how to say your name properly, Shui Fang. I don't know, but all the best for no, your baby probably won't come Friday because only 3 to 4% of babies arrive on their due date, but it should be around the next 2 weeks. Anna and Sam, second baby due in June. Catherine, second baby due mid-April. Annalie, second baby due August. Oh, we've got a whole lot of first babies and a whole lot of second babies. Ella, I am really glad that you're here. I'm sorry to hear that your first birth was traumatic. I'm really hoping that this is the start of a trajectory into having a better experience. There is loads of resources I'm going to put you in the direction of for you to feel informed, empowered, and if you do need any support with healing from that first birth, more than happy to help you with that. And you've got heaps of time, September. I'm really glad you found this webinar. Letitia, second baby due end of April, first baby 38 weeks. Emily, awesome. Emily, did I meet you earlier? Yeah, this one is, you're probably better going back to the videos of what you got in January. But yes, be here. Please be here with your beautiful presents. But yes, totally glad that you're here. But this is not quite the same thing, shall we say. So awesome. Not long to go now. That's so exciting. Awesome. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, people. I'd love to know. So another thing to pop in the chat box, when you think about birth, what thoughts come up for you when you think about having to give birth, childbirth? What are the first words that come to mind? Love for you to share that, and please be honest. Don't filter it. Doesn't have to be any particular, doesn't have to be a positive word. Just whatever. What's the first thing that pops into your mind when you think about having to give birth? Yeah, nervous, but excited. Nerve-sighted is a really normal way to feel. Yeah, especially first time round, haven't experienced it before. Terrified, excitement and nerves. Yeah, uncertainty, because we just don't know what it's going to be like. And one of the hardest things about birth is that you can't predict what's going to happen, when's it going to start, how long is it going to last, what's it going to feel like, so many things. So yes, I hear you on that. What else? What other words have we got from people? I do hear a lot of different words when I work with groups of people about how they feel about birth. And really, there's no right, there's no wrong. But it's interesting to understand that more often than not, we come to this stage of life not overly confident, not overly, she'll be right. And there is that uncertainty and sometimes anxiety and sometimes, quite fearful. And I think that it's worthwhile unpacking the fact that in our culture, how is birth presented to us, in the world of our culture, in the world of what we're seeing, what we're hearing about, and how does that impact on the beliefs that we have about birth? And it's very likely that you have been exposed to information that is not necessarily portraying birth in an upbeat, positive, calm, relaxing manner. Love to know, what are people sharing with you now? Are you hearing people's negative stories? Are you hearing people's positive stories? What have you seen on TV and in the movies? How are they portraying what birth is? And I mean, this first image gives you, it sums it all up. When I first saw this image, it was because I had typed birth into YouTube, and this was the first picture that came up. I just rolled my eyes and I laughed. I said, yeah, this is just so hilarious, because here we have, and a picture tells 1,000 words. We've got an image which says terror, which says horror, mainly from the guys. Indicating that they're a little bit useless and don't know what to do. We've got a mum in pain and we've got ambulance in a hospital. So there we go. We've got chaos and we've got drama and we have got emergency. And birth can be very, very different to that. And I am going to be sending you some links after our session tonight. And those links are going to show you some births that look very different to what you have been exposed to. And a lot of people are a bit worried about watching births. And I'm going to tell you, these ones are very safe. They're not right up close. They're not graphic. They're not gory. But they're going to show you birth in a completely different light, because birth doesn't always have to be the way that it is portrayed in the movies. And most often it's not, actually. Most often it's not. So you want to be mindful of what you have taken on board from media and what the media has told you, and stories that people have shared, and how that makes you feel. How does it make you feel? Because if you're taking on board a whole lot of stories from people that haven't had exactly a great experience, is that impacting on feeling nervous, feeling worried, feeling anxious, feeling terrified? And I want you to understand that one of the biggest enemies of birth is fear, because fear can have a huge impact on the way that we move through our pregnancy, our labor, and our birth. And there's so many different ways that we can pick it up without even realizing, listening to other people's horror stories. So from now on, what I would say to you is that if people are wanting to share their stories with you, you might be just putting up a few barriers, or you might just want to protect your energy and ask them, hey, love to hear your story. And just name the month after your baby's due, or when my baby, or after I've had my baby, because other people's stories don't necessarily going to have any relevance to the journey or the experience that you are going to have. And especially if they've been a bit chaotic and dramatic, if they make you feel a little bit nervous, a little bit worried, then you're far better off listening to stories that you know that are going to be uplifting, inspiring. That's why I've got the stories on the Positive Births New Zealand podcast, because there's a huge variety of stories, a huge variety. But there's one thing they all have in common, and that those mums come out of those stories feeling uplifted, feeling empowered, feeling like it was a positive experience. So what happens if we just, tune into the doom and gloom, and this is going to be difficult and horrible and chaotic and dramatic and all of that? How can that impact on us during pregnancy and during birth? So first up, fear. When we're carrying around fear, it means we're also going to be carrying stress hormones through our body, which is not ideal to be subjecting baby to a lot of, especially in that third trimester. Plus, the mind-body connection is very, very powerful. And if we're fearful and worried and tense and tight, about things, if we're thinking about that, then actually it's relaying a message to the body. This is going to be a dangerous situation to be in. So the body gets a message, I need to protect myself. I need to fight against this experience. You will all have experienced a fight, flight, freeze the state. You'll be certainly familiar with that state, fight or flight. When there is fear present, we go into this fight or flight. It changes the way our body works and how the blood flows through our body, which in turn affects how the uterus. So the muscles of the uterus, the muscles of the womb, they need oxygenated blood, and they need you to be in a, shall we say, a positive state of mind and body to be able to work effectively. If we're in fight or flight, it means that those muscles can't work the way that they're designed to. Plus, that fight, flight, freeze, parts of our bodies can freeze, and it can also send us into an appease state, which relates to number 4, because when we go into appease, it can result in us not asking questions, not making informed and empowered decisions, but just simply resigning ourselves to somebody else telling us what to do and us not making our own decisions, or you not making your own decisions through labor and birth, but just submitting to somebody else where there might be other options. So you might not be questioning things, and that can change completely on the way that you feel about birth. And one of the interesting things I do when I work with parents who've had birth trauma, quite often it doesn't matter what has happened through their birth. It's the way that they have been made to feel, or the way they feel about it when they reflect on it, because quite often, in more cases than not, it's because somebody else has taken over the reins for them. Some medical professional might have told them, do this, do this, do this. They haven't questioned, they haven't made their own decisions. And as a result, their journey has taken some very different turns. So we need to be in a space where we can be making decisions. That's both of you, that's you and your partner. And when we make decisions from a place of fear or disempowerment, we can make very, very different decisions that we might regret later. So fear is overall not a positive experience to be having through pregnancy, labor, and birth. So how do you work with and how do you release fear? And the first thing is that I would recommend, if you've got some fears, some doubts, some concerns going on for you, acknowledge it. Don't just try and push it to the back of your mind. Oh, she'll be right. She'll be right. Acknowledge it and recognize it. See it for what it is, and then work on releasing it or looking at things from a different way. That might involve talking to your partner or talking to your LMC. I do a really deep, specific fear release process, which works on our beliefs from our subconscious and helps to change those, which can be pretty powerful and will very much change the way that you feel. And also by seeking helpful information and support about what it is that you're fearful of can help change the way that you think about things. So yeah, being aware of fear is really, really important. Don't just deny it and go, oh, I'm being silly. No, acknowledge it and think about what you can do to change the way that you think of it. So I want you to now start asking yourself some questions, because you've probably thought about what type of birth you might like. If you haven't already, what would be the ideal birth? Not getting into specifics, but what is important for you? But they're not just resting there. So say if somebody might go, okay, my dream birth is a water birth at the birth center, or my dream birth is just a birth in the hospital without too much intervention, or my dream birth is a home birth, whatever it might be. Doesn't matter what your ideal birth is. Have an idea loosely, but more importantly, how do you want to feel about your birth? I'm going to go into this in depth a little bit more in the slide. And then thinking, how do I want to feel about my birth? Do I feel prepared to be able to do this? And what preparation are you doing? So I've worked with loads of mums, especially in their second pregnancy, who in their first pregnancy. So if this is you in your first pregnancy, oh, she'll be right. She'll be right. Everyone, loads of women around the world give birth all the time, which is absolutely true. But what preparation are you doing to make sure that you've got some skills, some tools on board? How do you want to feel about this journey? No matter what happens, what is important for you? Do you just want to feel confident that you can do this? Or do you want to feel empowered or powerful? Do you want to feel informed along the way? Do you want to feel supported, safe? Do you want to feel calm no matter what happens or relaxed? Do you want to feel excited about the whole thing? Capable, proud, the ability to trust. So those are some starting words to kind of think, how is it that I want to feel? And if anyone's got some words that they'd like to share in the chat box, please feel free to do this. We're just a small group, so do feel free to share, what is it that you want to feel for your birth, no matter what happens, understanding that we are not in control of a variety of factors when you go into labor, how long it's going to last, what position baby's in, certain things like that. If your midwife's available or anything like that, no matter what happens, how is it that you want to feel? Because what if, despite what you've seen in the media, despite what stories you've heard, despite all the negativity that could be around birth, what if it was ecstatic? Therese will say that, and thanks for sharing that, Ella. You want to feel informed, safe, at peace. Beautiful. Safe is a really, really great way to feel, because when we feel safe, our body feels safe to release, relax, let go. All the hormones are ready to flow when we feel safe. And the most important hormone, oxytocin, loves it when you feel safe. Yeah, Catherine wants to feel supported. Thanks for sharing that. What if you achieved your greatest goal? I don't know if there's anyone here who is preparing for a VBAC, and that is if you've had a C-section in your first pregnancy, and you want to have a vaginal birth in your next pregnancy, then these ladies achieved their greatest goal. Now, I have loads of stories on the podcast from mums who have achieved a VBAC. And the picture in the middle, Kiki, she had 2 C-sections before she had her home VBAC birth, and she was just on freaking cloud 9. Great story to listen to. Same with Faith's story is pretty amazing too. So what if you achieve your greatest goal? What if everything worked out? What if? I wonder if you've thought that. What if everything just works out all okay? What if you felt calm, in control, confident, just like Ash here? Ash is at home birthing her first baby in the water. Amazing birth story there. You can listen to her 2 birth stories on the podcast. What if your birth support, your partner was amazing? And you need to get your partners on board. If you want their support, they need to understand how to support you, how to best support you, and the tools and techniques that you want to be able to use. So really take the time to either connect with your partner just on your own, or come along to a class where you can both hear the same information at the same time and then chat about that. What if you trusted yourself and proved the stats wrong? These are some amazing stories, all from mothers who were told they were too old, their bodies weren't designed to birth, and their babies were too big and past their due date. So Janelle was told, no, you can't have a VBAC at home because I think she was 43 or 44 or maybe 45 at the time that she birthed this baby Kyla. But she trusted herself and she backed herself and she had the birth that she wanted. Amy was told that no, you'd have to have another C-section in her second pregnancy, but she did the work. She had a home VBAC. And Emma was told, no, baby Poppy, far too big baby. I can't remember how big. She was 10 pounds something. And you're 43 weeks pregnant. But she backed herself, so did her midwife, and had her baby. So, if you trust yourself, amazing things can happen sometimes. Because birth is a peak bodily performance for which our bodies are superbly designed. The words from Sarah J. Buckley could give you a lot of confidence and a lot of trust. And if you haven't come across this amazing lady yet, get the book out of your library or from your midwife, or get on to the podcasts that I'm going to send to you later. I've got a list of podcasts, and listen to her. She is the most educated woman in the world about the hormones of birth. Sarah J. Buckley is a Kiwi. She lives in Australia, but she's renowned for her research into normal natural birth, physiological birth, and the hormones of birth. She's the only person in the world to have embarked on a PhD in the hormones of birth. No one else has ever done one. She's midway through that PhD. what she doesn't know isn't worth knowing. And so she is a great resource to get on to have a look. So find out any podcasts that she might be involved in. She's also got loads of stats. If you're really into the science and the maths and the stats, she's got that for you, but she's also got just wonderful stories as well. So amazing resources there. She is one name to be following to get confidence. Ina May Gaskin, another amazing source of information. Listen to this. This is just one of thousands of quotes of hers that I love, but there is no other organ quite like the uterus. If men had such an organ, they would brag about it. Ladies, do you know how incredible your body is? And do you know how your body works through labor? Do you know how it works? Because if you know how it works, then you can start to have more confidence in your ability to be able to birth your baby. And more importantly, the next question is, do you know how to work with your body as it moves through labor? Do you know how to work with it? Do you know how to support it? Birth is a normal, natural, physiological process. We've been doing it since forever. But in modern society, we keep getting told it's dangerous, it's risky. All of these things, don't do this, don't do that, do this. But it is a normal, natural, physiological process. And the more you can involve information to support that, the more your mindset is going to shift and change. And it will be up to you to seek out this information. You're not going to hear this information in a standard antenatal class. Your midwife and obstetrician, while they have very good intentions, they don't have loads of time to be able to sit you down and talk through loads of things. You know, it would be really good if you had half-hour appointments all the time, but you don't. So they're not likely going to point you in all these different directions or tell you all this information. You need to be seeking it out. This is where I'm coming in, because I'm going to point you in those directions where you can find this knowledge, because knowledge is power. And when you start to, understand how your body works and how birth works, then it becomes self-empowerment. And I wonder how it feels to start thinking about feeling empowered for your birth, strong, confident, capable, trusting, safe, loved, supported. And those feelings that we get when we start to think, if you're feeling completely safe and you're feeling completely powerful, and if you're feeling confident and all of these things, then the mind-body connection is exceptionally powerful. Very, very powerful, because it's something that I love to share in the courses that I teach, is helping people to understand just how powerful this little voice in our head is, or what we decide to focus on. And what we repeat in our minds then becomes truth within our bodies. And another famous quote from another famous midwife: 90% of birth has to do with what's going on in your head. And I always talk about the fact that a positive birth starts in your mind. And it does. As soon as you get your mind into the right space, things start to change. So when I talk about a positive birth, what am I particularly talking about? I'm not talking about a birth that might go exactly the way that you want it to, or you thought it should, or you planned it for. But a positive birth is one where you do feel safe and supported and loved and respected. And a positive birth is one where you've got some tools to use and some techniques to draw on to help you feel calm and relaxed and free of fear. A positive birth is one where you've got questions. You know what questions to ask, or more importantly, your partner knows what questions to ask for when you're in labor, so that you can both make informed and empowered decisions. And most of all, a birth that you can look back on, feel proud of yourself, and know that you did the best that you could with what played out at the time. Because we can't control all aspects of birth, but we can control how we respond to what happens. So how can you do this? First up, having a little bit of a think about what your beliefs are currently, what your mindset is currently. What are your thoughts and feelings? You know, some people come into birth and they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm such a wuss and I can't do this and I can't do that. So how's my body going to birth? And some people are like, oh, but I'm really terrified if I have to needles. And some people are like, well, in our family, we just have really long, difficult births. I've worked with a number of mums that have busted that myth. You know, everyone else in the family, long, difficult births, and they don't. Okay. You know, what are your beliefs? What is your mindset? You know, and how are you thinking? Are you gaining trust in yourself? You know, are you focusing on how you want to feel? Do you want to upgrade those beliefs to beliefs that are going to serve you in a much better way? So, you know, skills such as drawing on positive birth affirmations can be really helpful. Find positive births on YouTube. Uh, have a look at the links that I'm going to send to you. Listen to positive birth stories. And do you know what? There's a number of mums that I've interviewed on the podcast who used the podcast as, you know, a major way of helping them to change their beliefs and mindset. You know, gathering information is another way. You know, learn what your body is capable of, learn about the hormones, learn about what you can do to help support your body in a physiological, a normal, natural birth. I will be sending you a list of these authors. There's not a huge amount because I'm going to give you quality information, not quantity. Okay, I'm going to give you very well researched information, not all over the place. But there's some authors there that you might want to use. They're very good information to empower you. There's a list of podcasts that are amazing. I mean, most of these podcasts weren't around 10 years ago. And the information that you can get from there is awesome to support your belief in your body's ability to be able to birth. Then getting a set of tools. I've talked about releasing fear, but do you know how to breathe to work with your body? Do you know how to breathe to feel calm and relaxed? Do you know how to breathe to feel more comfortable through labor and birth? Those tools can really help. Do you know how to soften your body, relax, let go of tension so there's no resistance, so that you're working with the process so that you can relax during different parts of your labor so that you can drift off to sleep at certain times? So there's no resistance, no tension. Would it be helpful to have some automatic anchors so that you can immediately go into a space where you do feel the way that you want to feel, comfortable, safe, supported, loved, whatever it is, deeply relaxed? Mindfulness tools to keep your mind in check, to keep your mind in that best possible state. Visualizations, which things that we visualize in our mind help to teach our body what needs to happen. How to work with, basically all of this, how to work with your body, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Getting your partner on board, super, super important. They do need to be knowledgeable too. And if your partner doesn't think that they can support you, find somebody who can, find somebody who believes in you, find somebody who is ready to support you, because they do need to understand your preferences. They do need to understand what tools and techniques you want to use, what questions can be asked, how to advocate for you. You know, and we're lucky if in New Zealand to have an LMC. If you've got an LMC that's with you all through your pregnancy and for your labor and birth, using them as well to a certain extent. Obviously, they can't be, they can only be with you at certain points in time, but getting there, so making sure you're on the same page as your midwife and getting their support for what it is that you want. Being curious. This is one of the most important aspects of being super curious through your pregnancy, then your labor and birth, and then for the parenting journey, because quite often it's this great big new experience, a great big new world. There are so many things to learn. You don't have to know everything, but you do have to know how to ask questions in order to make decisions. And having an open mind to be curious about everything will be very, very helpful. I'm also going to say, you know, trusting in your body and your baby is going to help, and listening to your intuition. But another question for you. Do both you and your partner Know what questions to ask to avoid unnecessary intervention. Intervention is sometimes absolutely needed, and we are very, very lucky to live in a day and age where we've got pain relief, where we've got surgery, where we have got up-to-date technology which can support us through, shall we say, the minimal times when it is really needed. What if it's not really needed, though? Do you know how to avoid unnecessary intervention? And why I say this is because sometimes you have to ask a lot of questions to find out the real answers, or shall we say, ask quality questions to receive quality answers. And sometimes you have to understand that, like a lot of areas in life, when it comes to pregnancy, labor, and birth, if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. So being curious, asking questions, we're talking about avoiding unnecessary intervention. And I'm just going to share with you some stats. So hang on a moment. Okay. Yes, these stats are now probably 2 years old, but it takes a little while for stats to come out. But this is 2023, not that long ago. In Auckland City Hospital in 2023, 44% of births were C-sections. And only 42.9% of mums who went into Auckland City Hospital had spontaneous vaginal births, which means they went into labour on their own and had a vaginal birth. 41.7% of full-term mums had an induction. These induction rates are really, really high. The C-section rate are really, really high. It does vary in different areas around the country. Okay, but we're looking at an average of around about 30%, one and almost, 3 births, a C-section. Now, these stats come from a very good source, Maternity Services New Zealand, that's their Instagram handle, and a great website. This will be on my list of resources for you, maternity.org.nz. Really, really great if you want to get factual information about what's happening. So if we think about the fact that only a year beforehand, only 32% of births in New Zealand were by C-section, but it's been increasing steadily. In 1970, and that's a long time ago now, but that's kind of my era when I was born, C-sections 5.5%. Between 1965 and 1985, C-section delivery rates went up over 400%. What's changed, people? Have our bodies changed? How has our ability to birth changed? Have we suddenly become weaker? Have we suddenly become females that can't birth anymore? Have our pelvises shrunk in size? None of that. In fact, we've gotten healthier, we've gotten fitter, we've got stronger, we've had better access to great nutrition and more information. And it's really just that technology has increased massively, and that has seen a massive rise in C-sections. Okay. Now, I'm not going to comment, or I'm not going to say that all of this is bad by any chance, but what I'm going to say is it's time to think about the fact, why has it risen so incredibly fast? When we think about the fact that 30% of mums in New Zealand have their labours induced, and the biggest reason is because they're overdue, which means, they're past 40 weeks. But overdue is not considered, you're not considered overdue until you're past 42 weeks. But the trend is that as soon as you get past 40 weeks, everyone thinks that they're overdue, and midwives are starting to suggest induction just because, let's keep it on the safe side. Many women are advised to have an induction of labour well before the 42nd week of pregnancy. If you don't ask, you don't get, and you can start asking questions. Is this really necessary? Just in 2006, that's 20 years ago, but it was only 19% induction rate. Things have changed fast in terms of intervention. So it's even more important now, if you want an intervention-free birth, to be asking the questions. And I want you to know, I'm saying this to you as intelligent, educated, sane adults, because you're not going to do anything stupid. I know that. But you can say no to everything. You can totally say no to everything. Your midwife has to comply to policies and procedures and rules and regulations. She just has to advise certain things to keep her registration. And obviously it keeps things safe, shall we say. It keeps things in parameters and boundaries. But there are many situations where it can be useful for you to just question that, because you can say no. And it would be really worthwhile listening to Kiki's story, her home birth to Lara after 2 previous C-sections, to hear what she says no to and how she achieves her birth. And there's loads of examples that I do have from mums. If you are diagnosed with something that puts you in the high risk, and I say that with inverted commas, the high risk category, your midwife has to advise certain things in order for her to comply with the policies. Interesting also, the policies vary around the country, different hospitals, different policies, some situations. You can listen to Eliza tell her story. She was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. Baby was monitored, she was monitored, everything was fine. But because of that, she had to be recommended to have an induction before 40 weeks. But she's allowed to say no. And she'll take you on that journey of what happens when she says no and how she gets the birth that she wants, which is completely straightforward and completely safe because she just asks questions. So her LMC was very happy that she asked the questions because it enabled them to actually work together to have the birth that Eliza Watt, which was a water birth in a birth center. And technically, you're not allowed to do that. There's no real research to prove exactly why, but that's just the hospital rules. If you were over 35 and you're of advanced maternal age or a geriatric mum, which is a terrible, terrible label, you're also going to be categorized as high risk. So there are going to be things that a midwife has to tell you, but you can question everything and you can say no to everything. So just understanding that, asking the questions, because if we don't ask the questions, what can happen is it can lead to regret. It can lead to regret. Oh, if we didn't, if we only really investigated this path, or we'd looked at things slightly different. And I do a lot of work helping couples heal from birth, mostly mums heal from a previous birth experience. And it doesn't matter what happened. It's the way that they feel about it or the way that you feel about it. And quite often, I have already said that, quite often it comes down to, what questions were you asking through the process? Did you make informed and empowered decisions? Were you happy with that? Because I have positive birth stories on the podcast that come from situations that was a couple's worst nightmare, shall we say. There's a really great example from a mum, Tanae, who wanted a home birth. Now, as it happened, she couldn't have a home birth because her baby was breech. As it happened, we worked through the fears that she had around hospital. And as it happened, she ended up what she calls a really, really positive experience having a C-section, which was initially her worst nightmare. But she shares that story because it was an informed and empowered process the entire way through. She didn't come out with any trauma. And you could say, well, a home birth to a C-section of a breech baby, that sounds traumatic. But for her, it wasn't. So only you get to define what birth trauma means to you. And usually it's not what happened, it's how you feel about it. I want you to feel empowered. So a little trick here is to use your brains. So use the brains acronym and be curious. Okay, ask all the questions. Ask what the benefits are, what are the risks are, what are the alternatives of everything and anything. It may be just the little things. It may be just like your midwife says at week 39, next week when you come in for your appointment, we're just going to do a stretch and sweep. Does that sound like a major intervention? It might do and it might not. For a lot of people say, no, that sounds like it's just a routine procedure. Your midwife might say, it's kind of a routine procedure. There are some midwives who do that process as routine, and there are some midwives that are horrified that other midwives do it as a routine procedure. Let's just say there's different trains of thought. I'm not going to say there's a right or a wrong, but it's your choice. And if you don't know what that is, find out, what is a stretch and sweep? What are the benefits for me at this stage of the game? What are the risks? What are the alternatives? What else could we do instead? Can I find some more information on this? What would happen if we did nothing? Or I said no thanks? Where can I find a second opinion? I'm going to give you a list of resources that you can go to as a reliable source of very good information, quality information. to get the second opinions about a number of different topics, because it might not be the big, scary decisions. It can be the little ones along the way. The little ones that are seemingly, routine. Do you know that after your baby is born, one of the first things that they are offered is an injection into their thigh of vitamin K? Now, I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with it or that there's anything right with it, but I'm going to say that's one of those things that can seem like, oh, yeah, no, baby's here. We'll just give you an injection. You good with that? People might not spend a lot of time asking for your consent. They will have to ask for your consent, but they might not ask a lot of time, give you a lot of time. You need to know what the benefits are for your baby or the risks are for your baby or what the alternatives are, where you can get that information. What would happen if you did nothing or said no thanks? Where can you find a second opinion? And yeah, I'm going to point you in the direction of that so that you can feel empowered that no matter what happens along the way, you can start asking questions, because it's your decision. It's your body, it's your baby, it's your birth. And so I would love to spend a lot of time going over asking questions and being curious, but I do that in my courses. But what I'm also going to say is one huge thing that can impact on your birth is your birth environment. All the research, the best quality research that's done says, the best birth environment is one that feels safe for you, where you feel supported, unobserved, undisturbed. So going back to the research, because the birth hormones are far likely to flow much easier. Your birth is likely to progress in a space where you feel more private, unobserved, safe, supported. And these are two contrasting pictures. Yes, one is at home and one is in a hospital, but where would you feel safest to birth your baby? Or shall I say, where would you feel safest to do a poo? Because have you heard anyone say that having a baby feels like having a big giant poo? And a poo, let's just say, when we go to the bathroom, we usually want to feel safe, unobserved, and private, because the sphincters down below open much easier in a place where we feel private and unobserved and safe than a place where we feel observed and on show. So thinking of it that way, also thinking about an environment where it might feels a little bit more intimate. I mean, what feels more intimate? A bright light and strangers with you on your back and people telling you to push, or dim lighting, your partner there with you. Okay, once again, it is a contrast between hospital and home, but I'm going to put up these pictures here. Look at the difference. Now, yes, the picture on the left-hand side is pretty OTT, but it tells a story, doesn't it? Okay, which feels a little bit more intimate, private, unobserved. Dim those lights down. Okay, change that bed into different positions. Use that space as your own, because there's lots of things that you can do to enhance your birth environment. Lighting, music, smells, all of those things are going to have an impact on how that space feels for you. And obviously, I'm hoping that you've already thought, where does it feel safest for me? Does it feel safest at home or birth center or hospital? If you have the option, really feel into what feels safest for you, because the place that feels safest is the place that your body will release, relax, let go, and allow this process to unfold and to happen. Yeah. Every fiber of your body is sensitive to safety in your labor. It absolutely is, because we are hardwired to want to feel protected in our labor, because back in the day, a long, long time ago, we needed to be safe from predators. And it's safe to say there's not going to be a saber-toothed tiger walking past your cave in birth, but we still have the essence of very primitive mammal instincts. Oxytocin, which is going to be your best friend in labor. If you don't know about oxytocin yet, do a deep dive on it. Learn about how magic oxytocin is. It is connected to our sense of smell. So if there was a fire burning, or if we could smell animals, or shall we say something that was unsafe in the area, then our body will literally shut down. But if we can smell something that makes us feel calm and relaxed, then the brain gets a message, I'm safe for birth to continue. And, thinking about the fact, what does a hospital smell like? Does it smell safe to you? Or does it smell like, oh, the time that, we visited somebody that was really sick in hospital, or when you had a bad accident, or when you had a difficult surgery? You can change the smell of that room. You take in your own essential oils, and your brain gets the message. Safe. And that's what we want. Okay, see how you can change up the bed into different positions. Put some lights on. And when you start to shift your mindset about birth, about preparing for birth, about feeling prepared, about, listening to different people's stories about how it is, about learning tools and techniques, releasing fear, when you change the way that you actually start to see, perceive, or feel about birth, the way you birth will change. Absolutely. And I deliberately have this picture of Sarah and Winnie on this page here because it's a very, very early podcast episode. So if you're listening to the Positive Births New Zealand podcast, you'd have to go right back to probably about the 10th episode in. And Sarah's journey to meet Winnie, oh my goodness, she was absolutely terrified of the idea of giving birth. And in 5 weeks, she did a complete mind shift. So she did some work with me. She did a group course with me. And she has the most incredible story about birthing her baby, because she changed the way that she looked at birth, and she had an amazing normal natural birth. So when I tell you that I do hypnobirthing, if you're wondering what that is, it's basically a specialized antenatal course, which gives you practical tools and techniques for both of you, both you and your partner, to feel calm, empowered, and confident. But it's not just skills just for birth, it's skills for postpartum too. Really important to remember that, because pregnancy lasts for about 9 months, birthing lasts for around about a day, but the parenting gig and the parenting journey lasts for years and years. So skills for life as it moves on as well. So what you'll get is the ability to create a positive mindset. You'll learn specific tools to use through labor. That's breathing, relaxation, visualization, mindfulness. Specific tools for birth partners, and a lot of information and education to help facilitate that empowering and calm and positive birth experience. And that all, as soon as we get into that calm mindset and positive mindset, it helps the hormones, the right hormones, to be able to flow in abundance through our bodies through that time. So what I cover is understanding how your body works and how to work with it, how to get your mind into the right place and use your mindset to your advantage. I'll teach you some deep relaxation tools, different breathing techniques for different stages of labor. We go through fear releasing negative emotions, negative stories, the range of tools for your partner to use, understanding how to connect with your baby, how to feel confident in making decisions, practical tools to use for life. It's not a course that tells you how you have to do birth, because there's no set of rules. You take away these tools, you'll know how to use them to your best advantage in whatever happens for you. So it's not for a certain type of birth, because of course I work with couples that might end up having their dream birth, but they might also have plan B, C, D, or their worst case scenario. So they're tools and techniques that you can use for any and every type of birth. Best done as a couple, because you want your partner to be on page. So it's great for the support person too. But if you are a single mum, absolutely, we make it work for you too. And skills for life situations. Now, a lot of people are kind of wonder, what does the hypno stand for? And the hypno really is about the state of self-hypnosis, which really is a very normal, natural state that you have experienced many, many times, a state of focused attention and relaxation. So it's getting you into the state where it's just like you drifting off to sleep, or just like times where you're really focused and engaged in what's happening on a screen, or you are all experts at highway hypnosis. You know those times when you drive the car and you're on automatic pilot because your mind is thinking about the past or the future. So it's not any type of unusual state. It's a way of getting you into a state where you can access the most powerful part of your mind. So I use this iceberg as like an example of how our mind works. And we have the rational, logical part of our mind, the part that's up the top, the iceberg up the top of the water. And that's the part of our mind which is going to argue back and be logical about things and think, oh, maybe I can't do this, or maybe I can do this, and maybe my baby's a bit big, or my midwife said that, and it's gonna constantly weigh things up. And it's really only actually responsible for about 5% of our cognitive behaviors. 95% is driven by the programs that are downloaded into our subconscious. And so it's a way of changing our mindset. So I also talk not just about hypnosis, but kind of like neuroscience, how the brain works, how the mind works, how the neurons fire and wire together to make it so that you've got really powerful tools which are embedded in the deepest part of you, but your brain is super familiar with how to use them when it needs them. So yeah, that's to explain it really simply. Yeah, really great. So a lot of people will learn these skills just for labor and birth, but then they find out, oh, it's really great for my pregnancy as well because I'm sleeping so much better and I feel less anxious. Not just for the pregnant mum, but for partners too. Really great. Oh my goodness, the breathing's amazing every time I need to go for a blood test or when we go for the checkups at the hospital or certain situations, all sorts of life situations. So yeah, it's not just for the labor and birth. Your midwife will love it. All midwives are now familiar with hypnobirthing, and I have loads and loads of testimonials from midwives. In fact, a lot of midwives do a hypnobirthing course in their pregnancy. This is Dion here. She was a midwife at the time that she had her babies, and yeah, you can look up on my website for loads of statements from midwives who absolutely think it makes a big difference. And this midwife here says she sees a reduced rate for the need of epidurals. Women and partners enter labor with much better understanding of the actual process of birth and how they can help themselves. So yeah, it is something that your midwife will absolutely love. So I don't know whether any of this stuff has been resonating with you. I don't know whether a positive birth is something on your to-do or your wish list. But if you want to enjoy a positive birth, then I want to help make it easy for you to be able to access the tools, the skills, the information, the education, and everything. And this is Sophie right here with her partner Chris. Another really great episode to listen to, Sophie's birth to Blakely. Because she was absolutely terrified of birth and she did a complete 180 mindset. The funniest thing is that I've just worked with Sophie just in the last couple of days because she's about to have her second baby. And she had such a great first birth, that she's like, can I do this again? She wants two amazing births. So your options, there are a few options to be able to gain these skills. The best, most comprehensive course is a 12-hour course. Not 12 hours all at the same time, but divided up into different sessions. I do a 1-day retreat style course, which is in person, followed by 2 online sessions. I also do a live online course, which is held over 5 weeks. If you're interested, for those of you that are in and around Auckland, the next course, the next day retreat, it's a beautiful, beautiful location, Bali Garden, very, very special, loads of garden space, it's just gorgeous and really, really nice room. It's just got the vibe. The next one I'm running is in 23rd of May, and I do have some spots available in there. There's also then the Essentials course, which is a more compact, shorter course, straight into tools and techniques that I run online live and also live in person in Warkworth. And then there is the online recorded courses. Just for those of you wondering, when's the best time to start? If you're pregnant and you're here, then you want to think about signing up because now, sooner rather than later. Yes, you can absolutely start later in your pregnancy, but anytime from 18 weeks is absolutely ideal. And yeah, more options. There's 2 online versions that you can purchase, which you can have access to for life. For the longer course, you get access to it for life with all the tools, all the videos, and all the resources that you get to keep. And you can look at that obviously multiple times. I, of course, absolutely do private one-on-one sessions with people. If you're looking for something specific in terms of a fair release or a healing birth session to release birth trauma, or any specific birth preparation or planning or general hypnotherapy, yep, more than happy to do that. And sometimes the starting point is listening to the podcast and grabbing the book. And I do have, for those of you that are still with me shortly, we're not far off getting done. I do have a special offer for you. And that is, bear with me a moment. That is special. I'm for anyone who wants to take advantage of joining the Ultimate course. The next live online one starts in April. So it's midway through April on a weeknight. Then I am more than happy to give you a 10% discount off that one if you sign up in the next few days. Payment plans are available as well. And I also have a special for you for anyone who wants to purchase the book in the next few days. I will throw in a set of affirmation cards. So I do have beautiful set of 15 different affirmation cards, nature inspired pictures, half of the photos I took myself, and positive statements, positive affirmations about how you can be thinking and feeling about birth. And of course, if you get the book, you also get access to the affirmations and some relaxation tracks. Wait, there's one more thing. And that is, I will be running a very special class in a couple of weeks, which is getting down to the nuts and bolts. If you want to learn some breathing and relaxation techniques, and if you want access to a special masterclass, I will be running a live online session Monday, the 13th of April, which will take you through the three most popular breath techniques and the most popular relaxation technique, so that you can master that and that you've got breathing and relaxation to use, not just through your pregnancy and birth, but for your postpartum as well. So just a case of emailing to me if you're keen to register for that one. So if we've gotten all the way to here, and you're still with me, amazing. We are going to do a lovely little relaxation exercise in a moment, and a connection with baby exercise if you'd like to stick around with that. If you don't, totally understand if you need to go. And if you've got any questions, I haven't seen any come up, please feel free to, either send me an email or jump into the chat box right now, so that I can answer any questions that you might have. And I am going to let you know that I absolutely believe you've got everything you need within you to birth this baby. And when I say that, because that is one of my favorite sayings, I'm talking about the inner knowing, the instinct, the intuition, and the power. There is so much within you that society has conditioned you to doubt, or to not trust, or to not believe in yourselves, but you're all incredible. Now, you don't want to leave it to chance. You don't want to just rock up to your birth and think, oh, she'll be right. Some education, some information, some tools and techniques is very, very helpful, but you do have, when it comes down to basics, you have got everything you need within you to be able to do this. So have we got any questions crop up in the chat box? No. Alrighty. Do we want to get nice and comfortable for a relaxation exercise? Now, if you have bright lights shining in on you at the moment, you might like to turn those bright lights off. If you need to move to a more comfortable location, you can do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop some music on, and I'm going to need someone to let me know in a moment that you can hear the music and it's coming through loud and clear, just like my voice. So if we got a thumbs up from anyone, can we hear the music? Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Daniela. Okay. Alrighty, so just when you're ready, closing down your eyelids. And you might like to place your hands, both of your hands on your belly, or one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. And I want you to just become aware of your breath and your breathing. Just start to notice. Notice each in-breath. And notice each out-breath. And notice what is moving when you breathe. Is it your belly? Is it your chest? And focus now on breathing in and out of your belly so that as you breathe in, your belly expands. And as you breathe out, your belly softens. And just as you're sitting there breathing, you might be aware of other noises coming from both inside and outside of the room, and just know that if there should be any sudden or loud noises, they won't disrupt, they won't bother you. They'll just fade into the background. And shifting all of your attention for a moment to your feet. And just become aware of the position of your feet. Is one foot warmer than the other? What is the texture of whatever your feet are touching? What does it feel like? And then allow your attention to move to your hands. And as you think about your hands, noticing the position of your hands. Noticing the fabric, the texture of whatever your hands are touching. And notice, does one hand feel heavier than the other? Just noticing. And then allowing your attention to wander up to your shoulders. And just allow those shoulders to sink into the frame of your body. Or sink further back into whatever you're resting on. And then return your attention back to your breath. We're going to take 3 nice breaths together. We're going to breathe in to the count of 4 and out to the count of 6. Going to do that 3 times, and ideally you will be breathing in and out through your nose if possible. So just getting ready now and breathing in 2, 3, 4 and out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathing in 2, 3, 4 and out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And once again in 2, 3, 4 and out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just allow your breath now to return to your normal breathing pace. Breathing comfortably, breathing easy, and shifting all of your attention to your eyelids now. And thinking about all those tiny, tiny muscles in and around your eyelids. And just allowing all those tiny muscles to become completely loose and limp and lazy. Those eyelids relaxing all the way to the point where they just feel so very, very comfortably closed. So relaxed. And that same relaxation can drift down over your cheeks now as you just let go. You let go of any expression resting on your face. And you focus now on your mouth and your jaw, and allow that lower jaw to soften, to droop on down. Whole mouth, jaw, soft, relaxed. And I wonder if that same sense of relaxation could drift down through your neck and to your shoulders, as once again you just allow those shoulders to sink further and deeper. And I wonder how it would feel to imagine this sense of relaxation like a soft mist or a warm liquid, gently drifting and floating down through the tops of your arms, softening your elbows, releasing through your lower arms, rolling around your wrists, your hands, your fingers, so that your arms now, just like your eyelids, loose, limp, soft, relaxed. And with every breath now, you soften through your chest, your heart space. That softness, a drifting, floating, melting feeling rolls over your stomach, your belly. And pregnant mums, you can imagine the same sense of softness moves through to your baby's home and your baby. And it's time now to connect in with your baby. If you'd like to place your hands around your baby, you can. That's right, hands on your stomach. And with every breath now, just getting the idea of sending all your love down and into baby. Focusing on the idea of this growing baby inside their home in here. Safe, loved, and he or she might be wriggling or kicking or moving right now, or they may be quite still, but you can just continue to connect in with your baby. And it's time to take a moment to appreciate all that you have already achieved. This miraculous process of conception, how life was formed, and how life is still developing and growing. Your body is incredible. You can create a baby. You can birth a baby. And it's time to celebrate the stage of pregnancy you're at, whether it's early or whether it's later on. Each and every day, it's a miracle occurring right inside of you. And you can send a beautiful wave of love to your baby. Hey baby, we know you're in there. You're wanted. You are loved. And your baby has chosen you as their parents. Your baby trusts you. Your baby knows that you are doing the best job in every way you can to facilitate their development and their arrival into the world. Growing and birthing a baby is truly one of the greatest transformational experiences in life. And your body has an innate wisdom. It knows what to do. And your baby knows what to do. And you need to trust this process and trust yourself. And it's time for you to connect into that wise, knowing part of you. That part of you that's instinctive. And that part of you that has guided you here tonight to receive this information, to help you on your journey. Your baby will journey through this pregnancy and birth every step of the way with you. birth is an experience that you journey through together. And together the two of you can work harmoniously, fully connected. You both share this experience. And as you feel the love and marvel at this miracle of life, take a moment to thank your baby for choosing you, for coming to you. And if there's any special messages that you wish to pass to baby, you can silently send these now. And then getting ready to come back into this space, knowing that you are safe, your baby is safe, you are secure, you are well supported, you are strong, you are powerful, you have everything you need within you to do this. Bringing your awareness back into the breath now. Taking a nice deep breath in through your nose. And a deep sigh out. Nice deep breath in again. And let it go. And one more last nice deep breath in and out, and start to feel a beautiful sense of energy beginning to flow through your entire body. Knowing that, of course, you can connect with your baby anytime you choose. For now, coming back into the space, opening your eyes when you're ready. And I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you found some of the information that we covered tonight to be helpful. Know that there is plenty more that I would love to share with you, to empower you, to help you be in the best mindset to be able to have your positive birth. If you do have any questions that you'd like to ask, please feel free either to jump on now or to send me an email. I'd love to work with you through your pregnancy at some point in time. And if I don't connect with you again, I'm wishing you all the best on your birth journey. Do make use of the easy to access and free resources that you will be getting through the email that I'm going to send you tonight. And just know there are massive amounts of testimonials that I have from large number of people, Google reviews, websites, all that. So if you want to check out whether, it could be worth doing some work, have a look at those. And take care. All the best.